Chapter 1 Enterprise AS Business 9609 Crazy Cambridge. What is Crazy Cambridge about? So here I provide IGCSE and AS videos. IGCSE subjects include business, economics, accounting, biology, physics, math, and English. And for AS, I provide business, economics, and accounting videos. This is my first AS business video provided in this channel. Plus, I do include examination tips as well. So here's Crazy Cambridge at your fingertips. This is the syllabus. We're going to learn about the nature of the business activity, the role of the entrepreneur, and about social enterprise. First, we're going to look at the purpose of business activity. The purpose is to identify and satisfy the needs and wants of the people with the overall aim of earning profit. This will help to produce the goods and services. The business will be using scarce resources, the resources that are limited in supply, that means to produce goods and services to ensure that the needs and wants of people are satisfied. Now let's look at the different types of economic resources. First is land. This is where all natural resources are provided by nature. It includes renewable and non-renewable resources. Now the reward for having land is rent. So for land you get rent as your reward. For labor, these are the people who are used. This is a resource type. The people are used to produce the goods and services, and the labor will be rewarded with a wage or salary. Then capital can either be finance or machinery and equipment. It can either mean both of these, and these are needed to produce goods and services. The reward for capital is interest. Enterprise is the skill and risk-taking ability of the person who brings together all the other factors of production together to produce goods and services. Usually, the owner or founder of a business is the one who is in charge of the enterprise. In return, the entrepreneur will make a profit or a loss. Now let's look at what division of labor means. This is when the production process is split up into different tasks. Each task will be done by a particular person or by a type of machine. So now in a business you have many different departments. Now one person cannot take part in the marketing department, operations, sales, finance. They have a particular specialization. Now we're going to look at what specialization is also. So they have a particular specialization, and according to that specialization, they are put in each type of departments. So when the task is split up into different tasks, it is known as division of labor. Then specialization is when a person, firm, or economy concentrates only on the tasks it's best at. So, for example, Saudi Arabia is specialized in oil. Then a person may be specialized in medical rather than business. Now let's look at the pros and cons of the division of labor. The pros are that the specialized workers are good at one task and that will help them increase efficiency and output because they are already known to the task. They're not new to it. They're doing this work every day. Then less time will be wasted between switching jobs by each individual. You're at your one workplace and you're doing your particular job. You don't have to keep switching your positions. Then machinery also helps all jobs and can be operated 24/7. Repeating the same job can make the worker more skilled at what they're doing. The business can also enjoy from economies of scale. Now, economies of scale is when the business size increases, the business will benefit from lower average costs. Now, the disadvantages of division of labor is that people more often they get bored of the same job. So like this causes boredom from doing the same job, which will lower the efficiency in the company. And there is no flexibility because workers can only do one job and cannot do the others well if needed. So, for example, if one worker is absent on a particular day and that person is needed to do the finance part, and no one can replace him now because they don't really have the skills to do the financing of the company. And the production process will like halt, there'll be a problem in between. That was just an example. Now, the breakdown of a machine at one stage will affect all the successive stages. So, one type of machinery breaks at one stage, the remaining stages also will be incomplete. Then the use of machines may lead to unemployment. Now, if there are a lot of machines used, which means if the business is a capital intensive business, that will not require labor to be used in the company. Labor will not be required in the company. This will mean that they're going to be made redundant because they're not really needed for their positions. And this is going to cause overall unemployment in the company, and it will also affect the economy. Now let's look at goods and services. First, we'll have a look at the types of goods. Goods are divided into consumer and capital goods. Consumer goods are the tangible goods which are sold to the general public. This includes durable and non-durable goods. Durable goods are like machinery, garments, mobiles, and they can last for a long time. While non-durable goods, such as edible things, can soon become damaged. Second type of good is capital good. These are physical products which are mainly manufactured to help in the manufacturing of other goods in the industries. So this is basically like machineries, for example, which are used for the production of other goods and services like commercial vehicles. So this is what capital good and consumer good means. Now let's look at services. They are non-tangible products for the public to satisfy their wants. They could be commercial or personal services. These include banking, insurance, transportation, which are done on a larger scale. Personal services are one-to-one services such as hairdressing, teaching, lawyer, etc. Let's look at the social enterprise. We're going to look at a different economic problem. So the economic problem, first we're going to look at the problem of choice. So businesses must make a choice on how to use scarce resources to fulfill their wants. Now, what is this economic problem? This is when there are finite resources, which means limited resources, and unlimited wants. So our wants are unlimited, but the things what we want, the resources which are needed to produce what we want, the good or service that we want, the resources are in limited amount. So now that is the economic problem. So now consumers will have to go through the problem of choice, or it can be in the form of businesses or governments also having to make choices. So businesses must make a choice on how to use scarce resources to fulfill their wants. Business must choose on whether to use labor or capital to produce the products. It means they need to decide if they're going to be a labor intensive firm or a capital intensive firm. Now, the business must also choose the types of good to produce. When something else is chosen, it means something else is given up or it means sacrificed. Thus, choice will lead to opportunity cost. We will also look at what opportunity cost means. Now, I'll give you an example um, with, for example, for consumers or for students. Now, you cannot be an economics or business student and a science student at the same time, at least not for university degrees. You have to choose a particular subject for university which you are interested in. Now, the one which you're choosing, for example, if you choose to do business, science becomes your opportunity cost. It is something which you're not choosing, which you're sacrificing, which you're giving up. Now, that is known as the opportunity cost. So opportunity cost is basically the next best alternative forgone. Or it can be put into another sentence like this is the next best choice given up in favor of the alternative chosen from two choices. Now here is an example. If a business has a choice of purchasing new machinery and new premises, if the business chose to buy new machinery because of its greater utility, then the premises will be the opportunity cost because that is something that they have given up. Now let's look at the difference between creating value and adding value. Creating value is when you're increasing the difference between the cost of purchasing bought-in materials and the price the finished goods are sold at. Now, this to add extra features to a product and the customer is willing to pay more after the value has been added. So this means you're creating a certain value for the product. Now, initially, before you produce a product, the 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 good does not have any value. But when you add on to the features, when you produce it with good quality, it it like creates value for the product, and that's known as creating value. Added value refers to the difference between the selling price of a product and the cost of the raw materials which is used to make it. Now, there are different ways of adding value. First one is to create a brand. So now brand represents quality and sometimes status. Consumers are prepared to pay for products which have a strong brand attached to it. So why does a pair of Nike sell costlier than its counterpart Puma? Though the cost of production may not be much different. It's because Nike has a better branding status, it has a better status in the economy or in the market of the product. Then the second point is advertising. Through advertising, the business can create a strong brand loyalty. So brand loyalty is when people keep on using the same brand products amongst its customers and in the process charge more for its goods or services. Then providing customized services. Businesses providing better quality, personalized services, which means specialized goods or services to their customers, will add more value to the business or the product. Consumers are willing to pay a little extra for a customized services than providing additional features. Now, to a particular good, when you're adding up new features, for example, iPhone, every model of it is just adding up new features. That is something, it's a way that they are trying to add value to their product. So, a product or a service with additional features or functionality can make the consumers pay extra for the product. And this is a very good strategy to earn more profits. This is very often seen in different versions of a car model, for example. So, Toyota has 12 versions of its innovative model. The basic engine and build is the same, but the price will increase as the additional features are added. Then, by offering convenience to the customers. Consumers love convenience. If you get a product or service without much effort and just sitting in the place you want and getting your products being delivered it to you, then you might happily pay a premium for it. For example, free home delivery of your weekly grocery. How comfortable would that be for your grocery to come to you by just ordering through an online source instead of going to the supermarket or hypermarket and then purchasing, getting into the crowd, which is of course tiresome. So, like offering convenience to your consumers is another way of adding value. Why do businesses fail early? First is the lack of experience. The business may not have enough experience in the economy or in the market enough to stay and survive in the business. Insufficient capital or money. They will not have enough funds to use for paying for their day-to-day expenses, which is their working capital. They'll not have enough funds to afford that or to manage everything. Then if there's a poor location, for example, that's the third point. If you're in a particular location where no one knows you, or where no one really goes, it's like kind of a deserted sort of a location where no one goes. It's not in the city, it's not in the main center. No one's gonna know your business is there. No one's gonna go and want to travel farther to reach that location to buy that product or experience the service. Then poor inventory management. Now, if you do not have a good inventory management system in your business, you need to have good efficiency, you need to reduce the waste, you need to make sure that your inventory level in the company is at a manageable level. So if you have poor inventory management, that's another reason where business can fail early. Over-investment in fixed assets. If you invest too much in the fixed assets, like for example, vehicles, buildings, such fixed assets, it's going to just um, become more costlier to you and you're going to be incurring more expenses than earning more profit, earning more revenue. So your profit is going to result low, and that's going to contribute to the failure of the business. Then poor credit arrangement or management. This is when you're not having a good management of your credit. You need to make sure you're not keeping any debts. You're supposed to be paying all your debts back, and if you do not, you may fall in a pit and then your business is going to fail. Personal use of business funds. Now that's another thing. If you're using like your business funds for personal use, which is actually one of an accounting concept, business entity, where business and personal funds are separate. They are different things. You keep them separate. You do not use your business funds for personal use at all. Now, an entrepreneur is a person who takes the risk and has the ability to withstand this risk and provide services or products to consumers. Now, let's look at the characteristics an entrepreneur needs. First is a positive attitude. If the entrepreneur itself, him or herself, is very positive, it's very optimistic, that entrepreneur is going to help and motivate the fellow employees, the subordinates to work harder. That's going to create more self-esteem, a more motivated workforce. That's going to aid in the business growth. A risk taker. Now, as an entrepreneur, it's all about risk. Starting up your business itself is a risk. So you need to be a person who can take a certain risk. Also, you need to be an innovator. You need to know how to make sure you're the one who is gaining the most market share in the market of the product. You need to be very innovative with what sorts of features you're going to provide, what type of good or service you're going to provide, what is the variety of goods and services you're planning to um, you're planning to provide to your consumers. You need to make sure that you're really innovative and creative with those ideas so that it really stands out. You need to include a certain unique selling point. So a unique selling point is something which is a certain feature which really makes a product stand out compared to its competitors products. Now let's look at what a business enterprise is. Business enterprises provide employment. Now this is another thing. Enterprise, we're going to look at how it aids for the economy's development. First is the business enterprise will provide employment. Now, people go and get themselves employed in businesses. Now, what does that lead to? It leads to more employment in the country, and that's going to obviously it's going to help the government raise tax revenue because they are going to pay a certain income tax value, which is obviously going to be apart from their income, and that's going to go to the government's tax revenue. Now, that tax revenue is going to be used for the distribution of income amongst the economy. The government will use it for the improvement of education, improvement in healthcare, better infrastructure, and such stuff. So this will automatically increase the GDP of the country because the number of goods being produced in the country is increasing. So the total value of goods in the country is automatically increasing, so the gross domestic product of the country will also increase. This also satisfies the needs and wants of the people, which is something which is the main focus, and that's the reason for business activity, to provide and satisfy the needs and the wants of the people. They also bring foreign currency if the products are sold outside. If they're a multinational, then the country will be reducing its poverty levels as well. Now let's look at what a social enterprise is. Social enterprise is a company or a business, I would say, who mainly has social objectives that reinvests most of its profits into benefiting the society rather than maximizing its returns to its owners. So their main focus is social objectives, how they're going to benefit and bring more benefits for the society. Their main primary purpose is the common good. And the characteristics of a social enterprise, they operate for the well-being of the society. Making profit is not their main aim. The main aim is to solve the social problems which are faced by the people. So a private limited company, their main aim is for gaining profits, and now that is not their main aim. The social enterprise will be the one who is trying to operate for helping for the society and not making profits. The profit is kept to provide more services. They normally provide education and health, generate the majority of their income through trade. Now let's look at what a triple bottom line is. Social enterprises have three main objectives. These aims are often referred to as the triple bottom line. Triple bottom line is used to measure the performance of a business. First is economic, which is profit, B, social, which is people, and the third one is environment, the planet. So their thing is for economic, social, and environment objectives. These are the objectives which are also known as the triple bottom line. Now, fiscal responsibility, it reduces the variety of the types of costs of public which will support for people facing barriers. This will provide a pathway to economic self-sufficiency for those it employs. Then public safety, it makes the community in which it operates safer by disrupting cycles of poverty, crime, chemical dependency, and homelessness. This is another thing, public safety. Then economic opportunity. It improves our pool of human capital and it will create employment in the communities in the need of economic renewal. Social justice, it gives a chance to those most in need. So this is the end of the video, the end of the topic of chapter 1, enterprise. Hope you understood this video clearly. Thank you for watching Crazy Cambridge. Do subscribe, like and share the video. Thank you for watching.